The Burning Crusade is one of the greatest expansions ever released for World of Warcraft since its launch in 2004. It introduced tons of new features to the already beloved vanilla experience, sending players through the Dark Portal into Outland and opening up a whole new world filled with new races, quests, dungeons, and raids. With anniversary servers already halfway through their phases, TBC is right around the corner, and in this video, we're covering everything coming in the Burning Crusade Classic. First things first, we will be talking about new playable races, the Blood Elf for Horde and Draenei for Alliance. Both races each get their own new starting zones, Eversong Woods for the Blood Elves and Azure Mist Isles for the Draenei. With new races also come new racial abilities. Blood Elves getting Arcane Torrent, which is basically an AoE silence, and Draenei getting Gift of the Naru, which is a heal over time effect. The most important of these two new races brings the change that Horde now has access to the Paladin via Blood Elf, and the Alliance has access to the Shaman class via Draenei, allowing both factions to incorporate these classes into their raid rosters. With the new expansion brings a new level cap and zones. Players will be able to level from 60 to 70 by questing and doing dungeons in the world called the Outland, which is accessed by going through the Dark Portal in the Blasted Lands. Within Outland are 7 new zones, the first zone being Hellfire Peninsula, where players end up after going through the Dark Portal. This zone is slated for levels 58 to 63 and hosts the factions Honorhold for the Alliance and Thrallmar for the Horde. This zone is also home to the dungeon hub Hellfire Citadel, which has 3 different dungeons: Hellfire Ramparts, which is for levels 60 to 62, the Blood Furnace for levels 61 to 63, and a higher level dungeon called the Shattered Halls, mainly for level 70s. The next zone is Zangar Marsh, and this mushroom-covered landscape is for levels 60 to 64. This zone is home to the faction Cenarian Expedition, and also hosts another dungeon hub called Coilfang Reservoir, which also has 3 more dungeons: the Slave Pens for level 62 to 64, the Underbog for level 63 to 65, and another level 70 dungeon called the Steam Vault. Moving on, we have Terakar Forest for level 62 to 65. This zone hosts a very important city hub called Shatrath, a neutral safe haven and the capital of Outland, where most players will be. Players will be introduced to 2 factions, the Aldor and the Scryers, but due to these 2 factions being at war with another, players can only choose one. This zone also contains its own dungeon hub called Akadun. Akadun has 4 different dungeons: Mana Tombs for 64 to 66, Akanai Crypts for 65 to 67, Sethic Halls for levels 67 to 69, and Shadow Labyrinth for level 70s. These dungeons are tied to the Lower City and Consortium factions. Next up we have Nagrand. This open plain zone has the factions Kurenai for Alliance and Maghar Orcs for the Horde. This zone does not contain any dungeons, however it does contain a PvP zone called Hala, where many Horde and Alliance players will fight over control, getting PvP rewards which are great for fresh level 70s. Fun fact, this world PvP zone was one of WoW's earliest experiments with persistent world PvP objectives, paving the way for Wintergrasp and Tol Barad in later expansions. Moving on, the 5th zone is Blade's Edge Mountains for levels 65 to 68. This jagged landscape is filled with ogre strongholds and giant spikes with impaled dragons. This zone also does not contain any dungeons, however it does host entrance to the level 70 raid Grell's Lair, which we will talk about later in this video. Next we have Netherstorm for level 67 to 70. This barren arcane wasteland has many different floating islands and is home to the major neutral quest hub Area 52. Home to goblin engineers, vendors, and profession trainers, this zone has many different quest chains. This zone is also home to the dungeon hub called Tempest Keep for higher levels, the Mechanar, the Botanica, and the Arcatraz, which requires a key quest chain to unlock. Tempest Keep is also a raid, though it doesn't unlock until phase 2. The last zone is Shadowmoon Valley. Intended for level 67 to 70, this dark volcanic wasteland is steeped in fell energy. It's also home to the pivotal raid boss Illidan Stormrage, who waits within the raid Black Temple. Another hallmark of this zone is if players choose to, they can begin the Netherwing reputation grind for the prestigious Netherdrake mount. And speaking of flying mounts, players will also be able to learn the new flying skill, gaining access to mounts such as the Griffin for Alliance and Windrider for Horde. Flying is unlocked at level 70 and basic flying costs about 900 gold, giving you 60% flight speed. Epic flying costs a steep 5,000 gold, but grants 280% flight speed. You'll need flying to access areas like Tempest Keep, and Netherwing dailies in Shadow Moon Valley. The Burning Crusade also introduced one of the most immersive dungeon hubs in the game, the Caverns of Time. Unlike other content in the expansion, this area isn't in the Outland. It's located in Tenaris. The caverns allow players to travel back in time to witness and take part in major historical events from the Warcraft universe. One dungeon lets players relive the opening of the Dark Portal, defending Medivh as he activates it. Another, Old Hillsbrad Foothills, has you helping a young thrall escape from Durnhold Keep, ensuring the future formation of the Horde. Alliance players must really enjoy this. Later in the expansion, the caverns also open up another raid, sending players back into the past once more to face off against Archimund. Now, all the dungeons I've mentioned so far in this video also have heroic versions available at level 70, offering tougher enemies and better loot. To unlock heroic dungeons, players must reach revered reputation with each dungeon's aligned faction. Once revered, you can purchase a heroic key from the faction's quartermaster to gain access. However, 2 heroic dungeons, the Shattered Halls and the Arcatraz, require additional quest chains on top of reputation. These chains are a bit longer and must be completed before you can enter their normal version or heroic version. I'll be covering heroic dungeons in more detail in an upcoming video, so stay tuned for that. The Burning Crusade also introduced a brand new profession, Jewelcrafting. Throughout the expansion, gear started dropping with colored gem sockets, and jewel crafters could craft powerful stat-boosting gems to fill them. This profession wasn't just cosmetic, it was a key part of gearing for both dungeons and raids, offering gems that increase critical strike, spell power, stamina, and more. Jewel crafting also allowed players to prospect ore into raw gems, and later craft jewel crafter only trinkets, making it one of the most profitable and meta-relevant professions in the Burning Crusade. Moving on to raids, each raid in the Burning Crusade either has its own attunement process or is just open access. During Phase 1, we have the 10-man raid Karazhan. Players must do a quest chain called Medivh's Journal from the NPC Khadgar and Shatrath, which leads you through the Shadow Labyrinth, Steam Vault, and Arcatraz. Also in Phase 1, we have 25-player raids Grull's Lair and Magdarodin's Lair, which are both open access to players. The next raids in Phase 2 are Serpent Shrine Cavern, located within Coralfrang Reservoir, and Tempest Keep, found in Netherstorm. Originally in 2007, both raids required lengthy attunements involving faction reputation, heroic dungeons, and defeating bosses like Nightbane and Grull. But when TBC Classic launched in 2021, Blizzard removed these attunement requirements, allowing players to freely access the raids and progress at their own pace. With the Burning Crusade coming again, we can expect the quality of life feature to remain. Phase 3 sends players back in time to the battle for Mount Hyjal, and this phase also unlocks the Hallmark Black Temple, where players can finally take on Illidan. As for attunements, Hyjal requires players to get Vials of Eternity from Kael and Vash, and the Black Temple originally required a lengthy quest chain where players ultimately earned the Medallion of Karabor, which allowed access into the Black Temple. However, when Phase 4 launched, Blizzard removed these attunements, so it remains unseen whether the attunements will still be in place or not. Speaking of Phase 4, this phase brings about Zal Aman, much like in vanilla Phase 4 with Zal Garub, where players can earn catch-up gear and unique loot like the Imani Warbear mount. The final phase of TBC, Phase 5, brings Sunwell Plateau, located on a new zone called Isle of Quel'Danas. The final raid of the expansion, considered one of the hardest, required no attunements. However, Blizzard locked Sunwell Plateau behind server-wide progression, meaning that the entire server, whether casual or hardcore, participated in daily quests and turning in resources, unlocking different areas of the Isle until players are finally allowed access into Sunwell Plateau. This progression was severely sped up in 2021's version of the Burning Crusade. The Burning Crusade completely changed how PvP worked in WoW. Classic battlegrounds like Borsung Gulch, Arathi Basin, and Alterac Valley returned, and a brand new one was added, Eye of the Storm, a mix of base control and capture the flag set in Netherstorm. The old rank grind from vanilla was gone. In TBC, you earned honor points and marks of honor just by playing. No more weekly decay or rank pressure. You could use honor and marks to buy powerful PvP gear, including items with resilience, a new stat that reduced incoming crits and dot damage. TBC also introduced Arena PvP, featuring ranked matches in 2v2, 3v3, and 5v5 formats. Your team earned a rating, and each week you get arena points based on your performance. These points could be used to buy some of the best PvP weapons and armor in the game. Whether you were farming honor in battlegrounds or pushing raiding in arena, the Burning Crusade made PvP more competitive, more rewarding, and a lot more fun. Now, with everything talked about in the video, overall the Burning Crusade changed everything about how vanilla WoW was played, from flying mounts to arena PvP to iconic raids. It remains a fan favorite expansion for many classic players. Let me know in the comments, what was your favorite part of the Burning Crusade? Maybe there's something you loved or even something you didn't. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe for more WoW classic content just like this. Thanks for watching, see you in Outland, and as Illidan would say,
you are not prepared.
Come back here.
Just bring the rack.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, right here.
Bring them to the rack.
Heal me, heal me, heal me.